Wait a minute. What does that have to do with a vintage timer? No way. This had actually prompted the video you're about to see, as well as a one that will be following sometime on yet another timer. I had this smart plug hooked up to a very small lamp that I keep by my digital picture frame. And one day I got a notification on the phone that it wasn't working. That's happened before. No big deal. So I decided to ignore it for a while. And, you know, then eventually I'll get around to it, unplug it, plug it back in, or reset it up, or whatever it needs. Nope, this time the smart plug itself actually failed and needed a replacement. This one does this now. Yeah, that's kind of knackered. You can't turn it on or off. You can't reset it. Nothing. It's totally dead. And it keeps flashing a couple of times way out of focus even after you unplug it. So this is shot. I've just been dragging my feet about replacing the smart plug, but finally today I got around to it, so I did it. And this is dead and goes in the garbage. So let's take a look at the timer. Now, the timer that we're about to see was controlling my living room uplighting as well as the China lamp that's in there. And it's just a plain old mechanical timer. Let's take a look at it. This is the Paragon electric mechanical timer. It looks kind of like timers you've seen before, but it's big. It's got an outlet on it, which is polarized, but only two-prong. The plug is not quite a suicide plug, but I think it's just kind of, well, maybe it kind of is, because you can do that, and it doesn't have the ridge around that. And this is non-polarized, so that's actually a feature in this day and age in certain circles, depending. Fully mechanical, of course. Let's take a look at the back here. It's model APT 15-0. 15 amps, 1800 watts, quarter horsepower, 7 amp tungsten, 120 volts, 60 psi for cycles. It's UL listed. Operating instructions: plug timer cord into wall outlet, plug lamp or appliance cord into receptacle on side of timer, move blue auto lock knob top of the timer to auto. They consider that blue. Depress and rotate red for on and blue for off trippers clockwise to desired on and off times respectively. Turn dial clockwise until present time is in line with time of day mark on front of timer. Turn lamp or appliance on. Move white on-off knob located on top of timer to on if lamp or appliance should now be on. Notice for detailed instructions, see booklet packed with timer. That's long lost. For cord replacement, use number 16 AWG type HPN. Paragon Electric Company Incorporated, subsidiary of American Machine and Foundry Company, Two Rivers, Wisconsin 54241, patent applied for. So this is what timers used to be before we ended up with those plug-in ones that kind of just sit on the wall in an outlet, and that's that. We'll plug it in. Virtually silent. Now, that depends, because sometimes this would make noise depending on the orientation it was in. Maybe you could just hear it. So obviously a clock motor and all that is in there. The red and blue trippers are gone. It's just these metal things, but you can push them like that and slide them to wherever you want. You can actually go either which way. There's the time of day mark. So right now it is 2:09 p.m. So we go about there-ish, something like that. And that's it. You can turn on or off whatever you want. We'll do it in a second. And there's also auto and lock. So let's do that first. So plug in, you know, the handy orange light bulb. It's off. You can turn it on and off all day. Satisfying click and clunk when it does that. If we turn to advance the time, and then off. So there we go right there. There was also, it's gone missing to the sands of time, a cover over the center that filled in this recess area. It was metal, sort of brass colored, and said Paragon on it. I'm sure it's around somewhere. I'll just never find it. It's not a big deal. But that's pretty much it. This has kept perfect time for years and years and years. Never had any trouble with it whatsoever. It always just worked. And I replaced it with a smart plug. Because 21st century or something. It's just more convenient that I can ask for things to be turned on or off. And it's also set up with automation, so it comes on 15 minutes after sunset and then turns off at like 11:30 at night, which is typically the latest will be up, but whatever, either which way. So then it has the lock and auto things. So you can slide it to lock. It's currently off. It's stiff. But if we turn the timer, it tries, but there's nothing it can do. It can't turn it on. Certainly like that. Yeah, it's all the way there. And you also cannot move that, so it also locks it off. Back to auto, we can turn it on and then lock it there. Well, I guess something's knackered there. The tripper was not good. Let's go around again. See if it'll catch on it again. Yeah, so it's a little worn out, I guess, but either which way, you get the idea with it. So it just locks it in position and will lock it on or off. And going back to auto, we can go around the timer once again. It'll turn off and on as it's supposed to. Magic. Simple, and that's all there is to it. And that's all I got. But yes, you might have had something like this back in the day. When is this from? I'm going to say 1980s, but probably early 1980s. I don't have a strict date for it. This could be late 1970s. It's possible, but I don't know for sure. I think we ought to take a peek inside. I don't know if I'll be able to just open it, but we can certainly give that a try. I also don't want to damage it in case you have to like pull this off, or I don't want to get into any of that. So, but this is something you might have had. You might have kept this timer. Why the bulb is flickery like that, I don't know. I never experienced that with what it was plugged in, with what was plugged into it. You might have actually kept this on your end table, and it would also serve as a clock to show you the approximate time of day on top of that. But a lot of people also just put it on the floor behind the end table or something for their living room lamp or something like that. Let's go ahead and take the screws out of this and see if we can get it apart. Methinks the back cover of it comes off, and maybe it can be serviced that way. Last screw. Something is attached. The outlet is attached. And in there, really nothing to see. There's a wire nut, which has got to be factory. Clock motor. And let's turn that around and see if I can see what it says. It's made in USA, as you might expect. That wire is flat. That's probably not good. Little yellowed cover. Oil, maybe? It's got a couple of patent numbers. 3 watts. 0190. It's certainly not 1990. This is way too old for that. And over here it says D299-D. So yeah, that's pretty much the inside of it. I'm not going any further than that. But they did use flat screws, flathead screws, instead of Phillips. So I'm going to reassemble this because we're going to actually use this in our next video, whenever that's going to be released, on another timer, because this can act as an extension cord and it saves me the trouble of going to get one. Anyway, that's it. Once again, the Paragon Electric model APT 15-0 15 amp lamp and appliance timer. Thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.